one of our most replayed songs of the last like 2 weeks. Hey everyone, how's it going? For those of you who are new here, my name is Jacob Williams. I am a professional music producer and composer, and today we're going to be doing something really fun. This is an album that I've been wanting to check out for, I would say, quite a while, but it's really only been a couple of weeks. So long story short, my wife got us pretty deep into the Conan Gray rabbit hole, I guess, if you want to call it that. Vodka Cranberry is and has become one of our favorite pop songs, at least in our household. So we went ahead and dove into some of Conan's earliest discography, especially albums like Super Ache and Found Heaven. I personally haven't listened to a lot of Conan's debut, Kid Crow, but I'm also willing to check that one out at some point as well. I'm really excited to listen to this album because we're going to be seeing him live pretty soon in a little bit once he comes to our state. So I got to prepare, I got to prep my ears and prep my knowledge of Conan's sort of newest addition to his discography before we go. And what better way to do that than to share it with you guys for this week's spontaneous surprise upload. Quick disclaimer, the only songs that I know off of this are Vodka Cranberry and track 8, which is Caramel. And again, I've heard Vodka Cranberry a lot, but I will still do my usual thing where we listen to it and I'll tell you guys what's making it catchy, what's making it pop. If anything, I might have more knowledge on it since I've listened to it the most. Who knows? We're just going to do this all live and see what happens. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to our patrons. Thank you so much for doing a lot for this channel and for showing your support and for extending that support out into the ether for us to do something awesome with this content. I've been really enjoying making it for you guys, like always. And another thing, by the time this upload is up and has been posted for you guys to see, I love brand spanking new social media profiles for this YouTube channel, as well as my other little musical adventures. So if you want to stay connected on either Instagram, X, or TikTok, feel free to check out the link below because I will have a fresh new set of links for you guys to check out. And like always, let's dive into this album and see where it takes us. Track 1, Actor. Let's bring the volume up a little, yeah? Ooh.
Nobody saw us in the hotel lobby, and nobody saw us with your sweatshirt on me.
Right now I like that Conan is staying kind of in his sort of low range, not really pushing it too much right out of the gate, and we have these really nice crooner vocals sort of rising us up into the next section. Very subtly though, it's got a very dreamy vibe so far. It's got a very sort of wishy-washy, sort of dream-esque bedroom pop vibe a little bit.
Bruises on our necks and a summer spent in a cold shack, where you went all April, like kicking feet under the whole damn world's table. But my friends discovered when you left me in July. No, I didn't cry, kept the light alive.
Whoa, hold on, Conan. You're about to do something really impressive, but we need to talk about what's happening in your song. So what I like is, so far the song, like I said, has a very dreamy vibe. It's got a folk pace to it, almost like the guitars are kind of leading the charge in terms of the overall arrangement. They're kind of the main thing that the mix is being focused on. And I also want to talk about how subtly, so before I go into what I really want to address here, the arrangement has made me feel like the entire song is going to stay acoustic. Like it's setting up that vibe. It's setting up that folk pop, bedroom pop, acoustic singer-songwriter vibe right out the gate. But then I start to question that when I hear the strings sort of come in and start accompanying Conan before he does a key change and rises up to a whole entire like different set of chords that we're about to hear right now. Ooh, okay. Ooh. Okay. Very interesting touch here that I kind of didn't expect. Do you hear the drums in the background? We're going to go piece by piece here. Do you hear those drums in the background? So they're giving a very vintage sound to the song, almost kind of like something off of the Beatles' White Album or off of One. And it kind of gives the impression that everything's just sort of sinking into the back, and Conan's just kind of embodying the front, spearheading the front of the song's emotion with his vocal performance, which is really well done. It's very up there in the high chest voice, or like the middle of his chest voice. I also like that we're hearing that string riff come back, but it's in the like new key or the new chord progression that's sort of taken over this part of the song. Now we're back to the singer-songwriter.
You're a much better actor than me.
Oh, okay. All right. So this gives us an opportunity to talk about something we haven't talked about yet on this channel. So we're going to talk about what a tag is. And truth be told, I didn't know what a tag was until I started doing freelance work for other artists. And what a tag is it's kind of like a, you can think about it like a hook, right? Sometimes people think the chorus of their song and the hook are interchangeable. To a degree, they are. Hook is also just music terminology for something that's very catchy in your song. It could be done with a vocal performance or it could be done with an instrument. And what I'm hearing here is a tag. And usually what tags are is they're kind of like the sort of other part of the chorus. So like if your chorus is, let's say, 4 bars, I'm going to put some sort of visualizer right here to describe it, but let's say your chorus is like 4 bars and you want to add more to your chorus, so you put another 4 bars. Well, what if the really catchy, really awesome moment of your chorus you kind of wanted to save at the end as your chorus is trailing off? You would put a tag in there for like 2 bars. So it's a really short moment. Doesn't last very long, but that's what Conan has decided to do here to sort of trail off his chorus idea. Why are things getting so intense? One thing I want to point out is in the beginning, so the first chorus, where things started to get a little intense, that might even be the pre-chorus. If you look up the chord chart for the song, it probably is the pre-chorus, and the chorus is like later on when it gets a little more dramatic, a little more pop punk. You start to notice a few things. So the first chorus, more low key, it still was dramatic and had some swells to it to sort of up the energy. The instrumental as well. The drums no longer sound like the Beatles. They sound like My Chemical Romance. They are there's way more cymbal action happening. There's way more dynamics in the track. We're also starting to hear Conan get more upset, more frustrated. Like in verse 1, it felt like it was more of a personal sort of like since you've been gone kind of feeling. And then in the second verse, it felt a bit more like a sort of response to that, or he shifted it as if someone was talking about him specifically. Again, guys, I'm not a lyricist. I could completely miss the mark on this kind of stuff, but that's just what I'm picking up right now. Nice. So nice. Whoa, okay, guys. If we keep listening, I'm going to forget about stuff. So I loved that tag or that post-chorus at the end right there before we got into the bridge. Felt very personal. Like all the dramatic sort of flair, all the band stuff just went away. And then it felt very intimate, closed, personal, and then swooped right up into the bridge. And if you notice, the instruments in the bridge do something very special, especially the guitar, and I think there's like a tambourine in there. And what they're doing is they're doing like a double time thing. So like, let's say if you wanted to do a more dramatic flair in a later part of the song, you would go. But let's say your song was already doing that and it sounded like this normally. And you wanted to make it more dramatic, you probably go like, you change up the rhythmic value of it to sort of add a bit more of emphasis to it to make it feel more special.
Nothing happened, I believe, 'cause you're a much better actor.
I love that the ending right there didn't have the then me part. It just said you're a much better actor and then just stopped it, period, end of story. I also really like the dynamic shifts that are in that song. For an album opener, that's very important, and that also lays down a foundation of what to expect later on in this album. So for example, if you open your album with a very quiet song, people might expect like a very loud song right after it, or they might expect your whole album to kind of be that vibe. Or if you start off with a very loud song, people might expect a ballad next, or might expect a couple of loud songs mixed with a couple of ballads. Here, this song contains both. It's got ballad elements, it's got that soft bedroom pop, indie pop, singer-songwriter thing to it, but it's also got the very sort of swelled up, dramatic, cinematic rock elements, a little bit of pop punk in there, just a hair of it, and just a bit of dramatic flair to it. So you've got a lot of different elements that pick up the energy, and then a lot of elements that sort of sink us down into this more intimate space. So it makes us feel like, okay, we don't know what to expect going forward. There could be songs that have a bit of both. There could be songs that are more loud and have more dynamics, and could be songs that have a little less dynamics and are more dull and intimate. We'll find out. Let's move on to track 2, this song. Okay.
You know that I love you, and I have a feeling that you love me back. We're sat in my bedroom, and I hear your heart like a train on the tracks. Your eyes are like heaven.
I really didn't want to pause that, but we're going to talk about what's going on. So I love what's happening with the drums in particular. That is sticking out to me. And one thing you guys might not know is there's different ways to sort of play the snare drum when it comes to tracks like this. So oftentimes when drummers want to have a more like sort of roots feel to something, they'll play with a snare brush instead of a typical like drumstick. And what it does is it adds a bit more of a flatter tone to the snare drum and gives it more of like a not boxy sound, but more of like a paper thin sort of sound to it. And it's really good for songs like this.
Like rain, 11s, they all hear your name. I'm too shy to tell you the words on my mind. I hope you can see if you read through these lines.
Right now, what's happening with Conan's voice is know how we were just talking about dynamic shifts, how you have louder songs, you have more intimate ones. So this has the lyricism and the mood of an intimate acoustic song, but because we have more band elements in place, if Conan was just straight singing over this with no effects or without any sort of layering, it would sound kind of strange, wouldn't it? What's happening on the voice is we have what's called a chorus effect, which is mostly taking up the main layer. Then we also have a double tracked thing that's him singing the exact same lines that he sang in track 1, but he's singing them on track 2 and kind of panning them out a little bit, kind of filling out some of the stereo space with the vocal. That way the vocal feels a bit bigger. Oh. Hold on. We're getting to the big moment here. But I have some things to say. So I'm loving the alternative rock, like indie rock kind of thing going on here. It's actually giving me very Oasis vibes in a way. I know that's like a weird comparison, but it's really giving me that. Those string swells are absolutely infectious. I think they really highlight a lot of the chord progression's depth here, and they work very well with Conan's singing style on this. Another thing that I wanted to mention before I run out of breath is when my wife and I first got into Conan's music, I noticed that he sort of had a bit of a yodely quality to his technique when he tends to go past his vocal break, and he uses it as a strength because it's almost like a transition into different notes that might be a little bit like way higher than what he was singing before. What we heard right there is a very good example of that yodel technique. There's our tag right there. Nice. I mean, there's some Elton John songs that are pretty emotional, right? That's understandable. I was too busy going, like, I'm trying to focus here, but I was too busy hearing that weird, like, processed violin in the back there. That was kind of nice. It had, like, a nice little reverb stack on it. Oh, yeah. Nice. Very nice. What I like about this song is the tonality of the vocal, like in terms of like the color and the effects that are put on it to process it. They don't change. They're the same thing. It feels like a very live setting. It doesn't feel like a very like, okay, sure, it's studio recorded. It's processed. We get it. Every pop song, every pop album is processed. I mean, 99.99% of music nowadays is made in a studio unless it's labeled as a live recording. But this song right here feels very live. It feels like I'm listening to a live performance because it sounds like Conan's mic is just going through the same chain. Nothing's being changed by computers or automation. It sounds like it's just being processed through the same effect pedals or the same effect units. And he's just changing the way that certain words are emphasized with different parts of his melodies. And there's a lot to be said about that because usually it's the computer doing a lot of the work or the producer doing a lot of the work, sort of moving things around. It doesn't sound like things are moving around that much. Maybe some volume automation for mixing, but it sounds like it's the same processing happening across the whole track, which is pretty impressive because normally processing changes as a song changes just to sort of fill things out more or to bring things back. But this is a very steady vibe throughout the entire track. Beautiful string arrangement.
Is it done believing you might love me too?
Very nice low notes.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. So I was almost kind of expecting that vocal that Conan has in the background to sort of like say the same, almost like as if it was recorded once and then it's just copied over. But to hear him belting again, the same line, similar melody, but just with more character, with more emotion, with more emphasis. I remember I've had some clients ask me, like, how do I sing more emotionally? Just like, just for random, like, producer advice, like while we're working on a song, like, how do I sing more emotionally? And I always tell them, like, I'm not like even a good singer myself. I have worked with singers. I can maybe give you some mind tricks to help you sort of like get your head in the right space type of thing. But the main thing is, you know, think about what the song's about, think about the message you're trying to convey, and just let loose. have fun with it. Try to just sing. Don't worry about, am I hitting the right note or not? Just let loose. Because sometimes you might just do it on accident or by habit. And also, bunch of takes sometimes does it. Doing it the same thing like 50 times does it. Or we could learn from Conan here and sing things differently and see where you want them later. Like maybe that take was done earlier during one of the choruses, or maybe it was done like during one of the little workshop sessions they probably had on this song. I don't really know, but either way, having different variations or different like ways to sing a song or to sing like a specific lyric in your song might bring out some other creative sort of ideas that you might just randomly be given during the process of making something. And I feel like that was definitely it for that song for Conan. Let's move on to one of our most replayed songs of the last like 2 weeks, Vodka Cranberry.
You say we're fine, but your brown eyes are green this time. Say you've been in the way you say my name, so quick, so straight. It sounds the same as the time we took a break.
That part right there, that vocal part, has been in my head so much that I've literally been annoying the crap out of my wife and getting it back in her head as I've been walking around the houses going, it's been so embarrassing, but it's been fun. That is the yodel technique that I keep mentioning, where you kind of go up pretty much almost a whole octave at least to get from your lower register up into your high register and more of your head voice. So you're kind of leaning on falsetto a little bit, but not really, because falsetto is like really high. This isn't quite falsetto. I think it's very like kind of in the middle between falsetto and chest. It's like a head voicey kind of thing, mixed voice kind of thing, but it's very sweet. I love the way that Conan sings this part. And we start to hear the guitars pick up just a little bit before the chorus. It's just a little pickup. It's nothing like super advanced or anything. It's just the chords on like another track layer with just a little hair of like extra strumming put into it. It's really nothing that like advanced.
February 4th through the 16th of May, so strange to be back at your place, pretending like nothing has changed.
That's a special moment. And I love when songs do that, where they have some sort of like cavity between the pre-chorus and the chorus, where things die down a little bit before they swell back up. Very effective. It's very popular. A lot of songs do it, but with good reason. Conan displays a lot of versatility in his singing style on this chorus. And not only that, but even the instruments underneath the singing do a lot of just 4-chord swells, keeping it very straight. Now, the other thing that I really like about this chorus, it's actually something I discovered while I was trying to learn it on guitar the other day, but pretty much if you take the song's like main 4 chords that are being played and you just play them straight, they feel a little weird once you get to the imbecile lyric part. So as that part goes down, I'll even replay it in the edit. As that part goes down and descends, so do the chords, or at least the bass line under the chords. I didn't realize how pronounced those background vocals are behind Conan's main vocal. They are very dense, and it's only probably a couple of them, but they're so densely recorded that I can't even really tell if they're him or if they're other background singers. They're pretty cool.
Everybody knows you don't love me the same, so cruel to be lying to my face, 'cause I know what you're too scared to say. Oh, speak up, I know you hate me. Looked at your picture and cried like a baby. Speak up, don't leave me waiting. Call you up in the middle of the night, waiting like an imbecile. If you won't end things, then I will.
Oh, so nice. These next couple of seconds here are going to be very telling about Conan Gray's vocal range. I've heard this song, or every time it's been played in the last few weeks, I have just gone goo goo gaga over that note. And not just that note, but even the lead up to it, the progressive just sense of urgency behind the note shifts and behind just the push towards it. And it's just such an operatic note. I think there's a little bit of fry in there, because whenever Conan goes to hit it, even in live performances, there's a bit of grit in there. So it's like, it's very high. It's very up there in the head voice range. But it's got like a little bit of fry there, keeping it level, keeping it limited, so it's not ear piercing. It's just a very well done note. Yeah, that is a really, 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 really good song. Let's move away from it, because that is my main association with this album. I want to see what else Wishbone has to offer. So let's dive right in to track 4, Romeo. Why did that sound like a Looney Tunes sample or something? That's kind of cool. So it's almost like you have below the instruments, you have this like horn riff happening. And then when the horn riff isn't happening, it's call and responsing with the sort of scratchy little, like, almost sounds like it's like a guitar string kind of being like scraped with a pick type of thing.
I was out waiting for you, but now you've got away from me. I was out praying for you, that's why my friends pray for me. Even on my worst day, I was never treating you the selfish way that you treated me. Okay. Even in my worst pain, I was never dragging you around, so you'll carry my shame for free. You don't wanna know all I did. I drank your poison from your lips. I took that blade into my ribs. You took away my will to live.
Okay, I love the references in the song to Romeo and Juliet. I love the way that they rhythmically work with the rest of these melodies that he's coming up with to sort of pan between. This feels like a nice little shift off of Vodka Cranberry. It feels like we're going away a little bit from the melodicness of it, and we're going into more of a sort of like, I don't want to say experimental, but I'm going to. Experimental sort of like pop rock type of thing, especially with the bouncy drums and the bass. Pretty good mood overall. Let's see how it sort of transitions into the chorus.
So I hope you know I'm never gonna want you back. You put me in a grave of stone, but now it only makes me laugh. Spending my summer in love, then I let it got dumb, so I did it all damn for what? You're no Romeo.
Okay, there's a lot happening here, and I also heard like a weird like synth riser right there. The bass is actually harmonizing up with the vocals instead of just sitting back there on the one of each chord. It's rising up with the vocals to sort of add more harmonic value. The only other song I could think of right now that has this same sort of dynamic is Loser by Beck. Like it's kind of got this like sort of similar knock to it, and it makes me feel a similar energy to like the emotion of, hey, I just given you everything I've gotten. I literally fell for you and did all this stuff for you, and now I'm being stabbed in the back, or now I'm essentially paying for your screw up type of thing. That's kind of the vibe it's giving me, like the whole like you're not a catch type of thing.
Kissing your mouth with cigarettes on your breath. Looking back, I don't know why I got so up in arms about losing you by my side. Oh, what you did with all the girls you swapped me with, your drunken mouth on her lips. Yes, I was just
Nice. Before we go into the second chorus, that was a cool build up, and I'm going to tell you why. So from an instrumental standpoint, we have these sort of like garage rock, like hi-hats that are just smacking back there. They're very, very garage rock, very alternative rock, just smacking. Everything else just kind of rises with it in a very nice sort of distorted pop unison. But then you also have Conan doing a technique that isn't heard in a lot of music. It's been a bit more popular since the 2020s, but in favor of more like on tune or more like perfect pitch in the 2010s. There wasn't really a lot of singers willing to do the whole like classic 90s. I love the call and response with the background vocals coming in after that. I did want to mention that in the last chorus, but I'm mentioning it. I'm bringing it up now. I do love the sort of repeated refrain that the background vocals are providing. So nice. I actually didn't expect a song like that right after Vodka Cranberry, but I really liked the overall angst and the rock energy that was in it. I also like some of the experiments Conan did with his voice to sort of bring out a lot of that, to really just kind of drive the whole energy and the meaning of the song home. And let's not forget about the cool arrangement choices, like those background vocals and some of the weird like little synth and guitar effects just sort of like coming in and out of the song. That was a pretty good one. That's definitely a like for me. So far we're 4 for 4. And obviously I have Caramel saved, so we're technically 5 out of 12 right now. Let's keep going on to track 5, My World. Okay. So far, this is very reminiscent of some of Conan's more like 80s experimental work, like on the album Found Heaven. I'm really liking how big the synth sound for such a small stereo space that they're taking up. Everything sounds like it's recorded in mono, not stereo, which is an interesting choice if that's the case. It sounds like it's very small stereo space being used, probably to bring that very nostalgic old sound to the song. That's the vibe it's giving. Let's see what is in store for us on this. the previous song title, we're also catching on to maybe this is like the follow up to the story of Romeo. Maybe this is like moving on past that into like sort of like a period of reflection.
You're just a summer flame, but it's true. I found approval as a remedy. Every fucking person I would have to please. Maybe I got that from you.
Oh, nice. Before we go into what I'm assuming is the chorus, I'm really liking these 80s guitars too. It's got a bit of 90s nostalgia more than 80s, I would say, but it's definitely leaning on some of the 80s roots here. And not too much. It still feels modern enough to fit on this album, to fit with the rest of these songs. And I'm also really liking sort of the lyrics about, you know, understanding that you're a people pleaser and how to sort of fight back against that and how to sort of like move away from that sort of line of thinking if it becomes toxic or if it becomes bad for you type of thing. And based on what we just heard in the last song, it feels like this is kind of like a progressive, self-reflective sort of journey or story that Conan's telling here with his music.
It's my world and it's my life. It's my girl and it's my guy. I'll kiss him if I might like. I don't have you in mind. It's my world and it's my time. I'll waste it how I might like. I don't have you in mind. I don't have you in mind.
I really like the rush of emotions that we're feeling here listening to this, or that it's sort of trying to embody, rather, I should say. Like it's got a hint of nostalgia, but also just this big, immense feeling of just clarity, of just like, letting go of like the breath that you're holding in type of thing. It's got a very nice sound to it. I would say it's just a very good kind of happy sort of self-realization song so far. And the instrumental just feels nice, having just this small stereo space, not just a ton of things going on, but also they occupy it pretty well.
There was a time when you were everything. All my self-assessment on you thought of me. Couldn't tell you who I was before.
Ooh. That, remember how we were talking about how to make your singing feel more emotional? So I've often recommended to some of the artists that I work with, maybe try adding like different vocal breaks into your sections. Like try to add moments that maybe have a bit more fry, like you're kind of letting go of the air a little bit, just to sort of add more drama or more dramatic flair to what you're singing about.
You shut the door and shut the world with me. How was I supposed to know who I should be if I was no longer yours?
Nice.
But why? It's my world and it's my life. It's my girl and it's my guy. I'll kiss him if I might like. I don't have you in mind. It's my world and it's my time. I'll waste it how I might like. I don't have you in mind. I don't have you in mind.
Very nice. I actually really like what this song is about. I think it's very it's a very important message to sort of just like lead your own life type of thing, and I think that's very important, and it's a very important value to sort of establish, especially later in life once you've kind of been through it. You know, once you've kind of been through some stuff, it's good to sort of take some time to be like, hey, look, this is me now and I'm different and this is why I'm different, to at least acknowledge the reasons why, and then to go, you know what, I'm just going to be me. And I think that that's exactly what this song sort of personifies in a way. Ooh. One thing I like to do personally with some production beds, depending on what song I'm working on, is I like to take sounds that sonically sound different. Like they sound a little different than the rest of the bed. So for example, that guitar solo right there is a sonic difference. It sounds different than all the other instruments in the bed. And that's on purpose. It's to fill in for the fact that Conan isn't singing right there. And it's supposed to feel like an anticipation, right? Because you know the vocal is going to come back.
A full year later, you're calling me back. You say you're sorry for treating me like trash. It's totally okay, dude. I really don't mind. You got your revenge by being stuck with your life, so you can keep drinking and living a lie and talking all low when you're out with the guys. Doesn't matter to me. It won't affect my life. So
I love that. That whole bridge was fantastic. Oh, it's just that big rush right there. Ooh. Do you hear that? That's a really cool counter melody. So what's happening now is we're in the last chorus. We're about to exit the song. But before we do, I was even like, is this going to be the same like vibe leading out? We're hearing this like really just simple high piano just descending in notes, going down the scale from one of the scale degrees. It's just going down a couple of notes. And what that's doing is it's opening up the stereo space just a little bit to sort of end this. What do you say? I'll waste it how I might. Like, yeah, that was a beautiful song. I do really like what that song's about. I would say that's probably one of my favorites so far, next to Vodka Cranberry. But let's keep moving on to track 6, Class Clown. Ooh.
growing up didn't go how I'd liked it. Twists and turns like the limbs of a pine. Trying to grow on the earth that rides and do it all with the biggest smile. Half my friends barely know who I am, and there's none at fault but the song singing man. Don't wanna hear that I'm trailer trash. It's a heavy topic for crystal glass. Everything comes back around. I still feel like the class clown. Everything comes back around. I still feel like the class clown.
So this song so far feels very like, in order to tell the story, we have to use different effects or different sort of moving pieces to sort of add to the sort of like folky energy that's happening here. I feel like the key is descending a lot.
Take your pick, be left out or left with. I learned early on either way it's a shit stick. While my father was barreling fists, I was laughing all the way through it. And now the blondies are clutching their ribs from my latest joke from my old bag of tricks. But there's this beautiful moment in it where I can sort of just vanish. Everything comes back around. I still feel like the class clown.
I love the way that Conan just seamlessly transitions up into his falsetto range here. It's very impressive. And being someone who sings myself a little bit and having worked with a lot of singers, it's very hard to do that. Sometimes you have to kind of get yourself into falsetto mode or get yourself ready to do it. But the way he just sort of just transitions into it is incredible. Even on songs, or especially I should say on songs like this that don't really have that stable of a chord progression. This is a very like rough, very dissonant kind of chord progression. It feels very old timey.
Still feel like the class clown. Like if I get older now, I'm letting my younger version down. And if I stop laughing, all the blood will just start pouring out. 'Cause everything comes back around. I still feel like the class clown.
What an interesting set of like melodic choices. It's got a very just weird descending, almost Beatlesy. So far, I'd say it's probably one of his most unique songs, but also it's probably one of his most polarizing.
Been trying to talk to my sister about it. We joke a million jokes through the phone. Nothing funny about that home, but her and I, we already know. Everything comes back around. I still feel like the class clown. Everything comes back around.
Right, we get those echo effects coming back. Okay, so kind of interesting. So I would say that the way that the song resolves feels like a big breath of fresh air almost, because the chord progression doesn't exactly change necessarily, but it feels like based on the instrument choices that happen and based on the new chords that are happening, it's like a whole different passage now. It feels like there's a sense of resolve. Like Conan's not exactly healed from his trauma, having been through it. A lot of those negative emotions still haven't fully gone away, but it almost has a feeling of acceptance to it. Even just from a musical standpoint, everything's very in limbo, and there's a lot of different effects sort of personifying a lot of this negativity. And then at the end here, it sort of just kind of resolves. Song, especially for Conan, I would say. Let's move on to track 7, which I've actually heard a decent amount about this song. I haven't actually listened to it, but I've heard about it, and I'm excited to check it out. Nauseous. Okay.
You just wanna dance, holding my hand. My mind sees a grisly trap. I know you, I've seen you, I've watched you around. Everyone trusts you, they love you out loud. You won't hurt a fly, but we're flying up now, and all that goes up, well, it's got to come down.
Okay, so things are actually going to surprise me here for a second. So I love the beginning. It's very coffee shop. It's very bedroom pop, acoustic singer-songwriter kind of vibe. And I love, it sounds like the pre-chorus. I love how in the pre-chorus, when the piano notes go up, or they go down in certain intervals, so does Conan's voice. They accompany them very well, or at least harmonize with them. I also really like how the lyrics say what goes up must come down, or it's got to come down, and we're leading it into some sort of riser here. Let's see how this sounds.
Love is a threat, and I'm nauseous, scares me to death.
All right.
Wanted, not common sense, but I'm so you scare me to death. Yeah, you scare me.
Ooh, nice. Hold on.
With people before.
So I love when intimate, more like kind of acoustic-y singer-songwriter songs end up actually having a decent amount of texture in them. So I love the guitar layers and how the lead sort of just slides over everything seamlessly. It's very meticulously recorded with the line that's under it, as well as some of these other little tiny moments that are easy to miss, like just the big drums in the background and some of the sweeping bass and like strings. Also, the choir vocals are really impressive.
They left like a fallen floor.
Ooh.
And there is a...
What was that? What was that drum fill right there? It almost feels like they recorded the drum fill and then automated the panning to go like left, right, and then back to the middle. And then what they did is they scooped out a lot of the lows. And what that does is it removes a lot of the definition in the body of a sound and brought it back with that panning. So what it did is it made it sound like it was a small noise, and then it slowly just became a bigger noise without it having to go up in volume.
I vowed to be never more too trusting and loving, depending and kind. Behind every kiss is a jaw that could bite.
Ooh.
Maybe that's why.
Behind every kiss is a jaw that could bite. That is such a very poetic way of essentially saying anyone that you can show love and kindness to can easily just screw you over.
I feel safe with bad guys because when they hurt me, I won't be surprised. Your love is a threat.
Nice
and
try.
nauseous, scares me to death. How I want it, not common sense, but I'm
Whoa, hold on. So aside from Conan's amazing ability to use fry and more like rock inspired vocals in his music, we also have a very interesting sound happening in the bed right now. Like the snare drum hits, but then you have this like bit crushed retro snare. It's like it's a very electronic, almost EDM kind of snare happening on like a pad somewhere, but it's bit crushed. It sounds like it's going through like a Nintendo chip, like, yeah, distortion type of thing.
people who've left, so you scare me to death. Yeah,
you hear that?
scare me.
What an interesting production choice for a song like this. Yeah, it's like a layer of the snare put on a different track, and it's got like bit crush running through it. Yeah, how weird.
Maybe I'm here, waiting for someone to get through my years of trying to trust them. I know that it's in me to really love someone, but that's not a thing that I learned from my loved ones.
Wow, that was really good.
Your love is a threat, and I'm nauseous, scares me to death.
Oh.
It's not common sense, but I'm haunted by people who've left. So you scare me to death. Yeah, you scare me.
What a nice way to end it too.
Yeah, you scare me.
And now back down to slow, intimate coffee shop setting. Oh, wow, that was really cool. So again, dynamic shifts, people. That is such a cool way to write songs where you have very loud sections, very big swelling sections, and then smaller sections. Kind of reminds me of the opening track a little bit, where we had just those bigger swelling, dramatic pop rock moments, and then just very subtle bedroom pop moments. It adds a lot of emotional context to your song as well. Let's move on to a song that I've also heard, not nearly as much as Vodka Cranberry, but let's move on to track 8, Caramel.
1, 2.
Oh, nice. So I like to call guitars like these chicken wire guitars just because they sound like they're being played on such a thin like string.
You weren't all that kind. You with your wide-eyed grins, all I can see when I think of that time.
I don't know if you hear it, but in the back of the production bed right there, there's like this like string synth thing happening, and it's kind of making an atmosphere behind all the things that we're actively listening to, like the downstrum guitars and the vocals. This little like barely peaking over X amount of dB like synth string thing is really highlighting just the overall atmosphere of the song because it's way tucked in the back.
Spoken, all coming back as lies. But you with your soft, sweet kiss is all I miss in the back of my mind.
We got these like alternative guitars coming in too to sort of highlight some of the harmonics that Conan's singing, and they're neatly layered over the downstrums. So like you have the downstrums doing the same thing throughout the whole verse, and then you just got these little tiny light little guitars peeking in to sort of try to barely up the energy before what we're going to hear next. Now we got acoustic guitars coming in.
And I know it was bad, but you burned inside my memory so well. You care now. You care now.
So there's a couple really catchy things happening there. So overall, the arrangement is very guitar heavy. There's a lot of guitars all over this song, but we switch between like acoustic and electric quite often just to sort of trade off the energy. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at here. And then furthering that, we have Conan sort of dying down the energy by having the arrangement stop. And then it picks up. It's like this big sweeping energy into the chorus. And then we have what's called concert tempo, which is where every instrument plays at the same time and hits a note at the same time, where it goes bump, bump, bump. And that's a good way to kind of shake up your chorus to make it a little less just straightforward, to sort of add some dynamics to it.
Your cigarette breath, thick on your open mouth. Maple and amber clouds and coffee grounds when I think of it now.
We have a very 90s synth harp just kind of going and warbling underneath everything. It's actually a really surprising arrangement choice for this song because it almost makes it sound like it's industrial rock. I know that sounds completely like not what we're talking about in this video. Do you guys hear that? Those background vocals just kind of going bum, 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 bum underneath what Conan's singing. They're just very briefly coming in and out, singing a completely different passage. So that's a good example of counter melodies, but done in a harmony form. So you can have your vocal harmony stacks do different things to sort of supplement the main melody that you're singing. And that's a genius choice right there, because you almost never hear that happening with harmonies unless they're call and responses. This isn't really a call and response. This is more so just, counter melodies.
Believe me, you gaslighted feelings, still you had me thinking that I was the reason that I was fucking losing my mind. It was worse at the worst.
Okay.
It was what we deserved. My memory so well. You care now. You care now.
There's that concert tempo. There it is. Oh, okay, I remember now. We do get a bridge, but we also get like a ripping guitar solo like right under it. And I love how slapback, like caked in slapback these vocals are. It feels very like it's just running through this like crazy filter and just smacking throughout the mix. Nice. Oh man, it's funny how you can hear a song just like a handful of times, but then when you really sit to sort of actively listen to it, all kinds of stuff start coming up like that you didn't even hear before. Like I'm hearing all kinds of little layers back there, both with the guitars and with the vocals, and it's just got like such nice layers to it in comparison to earlier where we've had moments where there wasn't really a lot of layers. It was more so just processed one way and just left alone. We're back down to the intimate energy, guys, right there. That was cool. That's different too. Me personally, if I were to be producing this song, I would want it to end loud. I would want it to end with as much like dynamics as possible, just as much like just brick wall guitar craziness as I could. But hearing just a different take on it, almost an unplugged acoustic ambient version of the chorus as the outro, I think makes it very effective because you want to go back and listen to the more high energy version of the song, but instead you're met with the more intimate, more closed off version of it. Let's move on to track 9, Connell. Or Cannell. I could have this completely wrong. Ooh.
Saw you in a photograph with some brunette girl, and I head back laughing. I almost hurled when I saw your hand on the small of her back. You were never outside with me, spent my summer months in your unwashed sheets, and I know it's dumb that I'd ever think that I'd meet your mom and dad. Skipping your stones at my window in the dark, kissing your ghost was my own damn fucking fault.
Oh, that was deep.
And you remind me of how good it feels to hurt.
Okay. I get it now. We have these like Disney like double bass cello things rising up in the low range, building the emotional swell, but very subtly. We don't want anything in the high frequencies, right? Because that's where Conan's singing. So that's why a lot of the strings are occupying a lot of that lower range, since he's very up here in sort of his like nasal sort of head mix, chest, high chest voice kind of thing. The strings are all occupying this low rumbly kind of build, and it's a genius arrangement choice because a lot of times it can provide it can come with a lot of clashing when you have too many instruments and too many parts of the same frequency, especially when you're trying to go for a little more low key when it comes to your arrangement choices. That's definitely the vibe that I'm getting here.
Yeah, you remind me of how little I deserve. I knew we weren't meant to be. I'm from Texas skies, you're from London streets, and I'm not your type, but you're trying things, so that's everything I need.
And now we're doing the same rhythm, slightly different melody. It's changed ever so slightly.
Break apart my own heart again, validate the worst thoughts inside my
And now we're going up in
head.
energy.
Not worth shit and I'm better dead. Who's a victim in the end? Skipping your stones at my window in the dark.
Oh, wow. Okay, so in the first chorus, we were doing mostly falsetto, like soft stuff, but now everything's picking up a little more, and we're starting to do yelling, more like mixed voice, more projecting that sort of high, heavy chest voice type of thing.
Kissing your ghost was my own damn fucking fault. But deep in my bones, I know pain is what I earn.
Everything came together. The acoustic guitar, the strings, they're all swelling in such a unique way together. Like they're not fighting for stereo space. It feels very organic, feels very well performed, almost like everyone's in the same room, just you got a producer mixer guy sort of automating the things like the reverb and the volumes and stuff.
Remind me of how good
But we got some drums coming in.
And you remind me of how little I deserve. Yeah, you remind me of my father's word and word.
Ooh.
So you remind me of how little I deserve.
Not the end note, but the middle note of Deserve was such a beautiful note. Like it literally wasn't too high to where I was like, wow, that's impressive. It's his high range. And it also wasn't low to where I was kind of used to it being the way that he was singing. It was in this nice little like middle section. And the way that it sort of vibrated and trailed off into reverb, amazing. Great job.
Oh, no.
Okay. Wow. never expected to hear such dark. I mean, okay, on Found Heaven, I think there's a song or two where Conan sort of like experiments a little bit with dark wave and sounds like that, where it's a bit more cinematic and you got like these just very grungy synth sounds. Here it's done by a guitar, but here the chord progression shifts by a lot. I mean, it's like a whole different new chord progression happening here, and it's different. It's more dissonant. It kind of leans a bit more on that augmented, diminished sort of thing. And it's got a lot of dissonance, but then it resolves the dissonance literally right after it happens. So it just kind of leaves you in this like thought loop of a chord progression, if you will. And it's a very dramatic outro that I didn't really see coming for a song like this, because I went from going, oh, this is beautiful, to whoa, this is like musically so deep. Let's move on to track 10, Sunset Tower. Okay, we're going up in energy, people. Love the ride hits right there. So in the world of production, what some of you might not know is usually, if let's say you're making a song either with a band or you're an artist and you've hired a session drummer to work on your song with you or to record the song with you. Sometimes what happens is, well, actually I should say most of the time what happens is drums end up getting resampled. They end up having more punchier, more machine-driven samples put under them. And this is a bit of a controversial topic in music, but we're going to talk about it anyways. So it's all a preference at the end of the day. I think if you want to use drum samples underneath your authentically real recorded drum takes, feel free to, because I think that it does give you a thicker sound. It does sound more modern. It kind of removes some of the dynamic value of your track, but in that trade-off, you have a cleaner, more punchy sound. A lot of recordings do it. If you have real drums in a song, they are usually doubled over with the snare drums and the kicks especially, but it's just to add more punch and more value to your song. Now, what I'm hearing here, it sounds like 100% real, authentic indie pop drums being recorded. I don't hear any doubling. I don't hear any sort of like punchiness to it. It's very authentic. And if that's the case, brownie points for me. If that's not the case and they're doubled, it was worth the guess. But it doesn't sound like they're doubled. It doesn't sound like they're resampled, which is a nice change, especially in modern music, if that's the case. Or it's like strings. Sounds like a pad mixed with strings. Oh. What I kind of like too, this might actually be something that isn't well heard. The bass line, what it's doing is it's doing all straight like eighth notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it'll have pockets of 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to kind of bounce between the drum breaks, which is a really common rhythmic practice. But it'll echo through time. It'll be something that's always used in music. Some sort of like spare syncopation every here and there, just kind of coming in and doing its thing before going back into straight notes. Always adds just way more rhythmic value to your song. And so far, I love the mood of this song and just how like big it sounds. It's got a nice little atmosphere to it, but it's also very relaxed and laid back too. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's clear. Go get some help. But if you're working on yourself, I can't hear it. Don't tell me. I wish you the best, but hope that you die. Nice big reverb vocals. Ooh, okay, so we have a bunch of reverb vocals happening all of a sudden just to provide layering and more emotional context to the song. But one of them is at like one setting of volume. The other one has like louder vocals being sung like in the booth, like they're louder reverb stacks, but they're higher pitched, so they add more dynamic to the song, and their volume on the master fader, like on the like mix bus, is brought down. So what that does is that makes it so that they have the energy, they have the dynamics to them, but it also doesn't overpower the track. It doesn't just completely cancel out the other reverb vocals. The other reverb vocals act as the lead, while the others just have these very powerful like harmonic quality to them, and they're probably compressed to sort of balance out all these volumes and all these dynamics. But yeah, that's really cool.
If there is someone new that you're out here fucking, don't tell me.
What?
Don't tell me.
Way to call him out, Conan.
Don't tell me. I can hear it. Don't tell me.
Oh.
Don't tell me.
Now that I'm hearing this album in full context, what I like about it is it has some of the little influences from Conan's other albums, so slowly kind of just like being present in this one. But it's got a very airy quality to it. Like it feels very kind of like how the cover looks. It feels very like there's a lot of atmosphere to it. It's a bigger, more wide kind of sound. And I kind of like that we're hearing a little bit of the 80s from Found Heaven. And I kind of like that we're hearing a lot of the angst that was from Super Ache. But we're also just hearing a different side of Conan's sound that is more dreamy. It's more introspective. It kind of reflects more on things. It's a bit more like larger than life, kind of. That's the vibe it's giving. Let's move on to track 11. Let's move on to track 11. 11, 11. Come on, Conan.
Shooting star on the night we first kissed.
All right, we got acoustic
Like
pop.
a sign, if I blink, you'll be missed. In my mind, you and I still exist. It's a thought that is dangerous.
Ooh, that was a cool rhyme.
Away forever. I won't look for better. I'll find
There it is.
signs for you and I.
You guys are probably looking at me like, Jake, what is this? Like, what are you talking about? So I meant to pause before, but I didn't. I really like that first vocal coming in, the little like harmonic stack just going ah. It kind of adds a neat little like half step. Like it's a couple series of half steps, like ah, and then it goes up a little. So it kind of adds a little bit of sort of call and response, if you will, to what's happening with the lead vocal. And I just thought it was really well done. So I was like waiting for it. I was like, oh, there it is.
Oh, for you and I. There's wishbones and clovers and numbers from
We have the album title.
shapes in the stars to invent our connection. As much as I act like I want to forget it, I still wish for you at 11:11. I still wish for you.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Slow down here a little. This has a very similar vibe to Nauseous, where it starts off very acoustic-y and then it goes into this big, wide indie pop folk thing. And it's really cool for like the storyteller element that Conan's going for on this album. Again, songs like these really help with the atmosphere. They really help because you can, with a sound like this, you can bury a lot of things in your layers. And that synth lead just totally shocked me. Same with the way that he sang that last part of the chorus that went, yeah, as much as I want to forget it, I'll still wish for you at 11:11. I really like the way it kind of went up into that yodel thing that I'm just totally obsessive about. And then it goes down back into his sort of like deeper range, or just kind of in the middle sort of high range, I guess you could say, like just like your normal, would you'd imagine Conan's normal singing voice being. I always love just the character that switching up your technique mid vocal phrase adds to something like that.
Heard you seeing some girl in New York, so what am I reading horoscopes for? You're still wearing those fucked up white Nikes, so maybe you're superstitious like me. 'Cause I'll wait for nothing, pretending we're something. My mind lies for you and I. Oh, for you and I.
Oh.
There's wishbones and clovers and numbers in the stars to invent our connection. As much as I act like I want to forget it, I still wish for you at 11:11.
Oh, beautiful. I love,
I still wish for you.
yes.
I still wish for you. Wishbones, clovers, salt spilling over. Why don't you come back? That shit's over my shoulder. There's black cats, broke glass, cracks on the pavement, but I just can't accept that it's too late to save us. There's wishbones and clovers and numbers from heaven, and if you'd ask me, I'd deny that we ended. As much as I know that it's time to forget it, I still wish for you at 11:11.
Couple things. I love the lyrical changes. I think that changing your lyrics in the last chorus has always been a really great way in especially pop music to sort of progress the story and give it its final sting, its final chapter before you call it. Always a great idea to do. And I also love the drawn out, leaning into belting range vocal that Conan's letting out right now. It's got so much character to it.
I still wish for you at 11:11.
Nice.
I still wish for you.
Yeah. So that is probably one of Conan's most solid songs ever, I would say, at least in terms of like a songwriting standpoint, in terms of like a even production standpoint. That is one of the more creative ones I think I've heard from his discography just as a whole. And it's nice because it's got that like what Nauseous did, where it's got this big marching kind of folk pop thing going for it, but it's also just this very quiet sort of kind of like you're having a conversation kind of meaning behind the song. It's very intimate. It's very heartfelt, but it's also just got this huge swell of emotions being represented by the instruments, which is just awesome. It's absolutely lovely to hear. Let's move on to the final track, track 12, Care. All right. Hold on. So this is totally not the sound I expected him to end it with. I mean, it fits the album 100%. It actually, like, even just that brief instrumental part right there feels like kind of our journey here on this album coming to a close. It feels like it's got a little bit of everything in it. Like, it's got the energy, it's got the just even hearing that little passage, what I'm getting is this is the end of the journey. This is like everything kind of coming to a close. We have a bit of the rock, we have a bit of the 80s nostalgia, we have a little bit of the experimental stuff, and it's also got that airy indie folk sort of influence on it as well.
He says he can tell that you're doing well. Finally, out of your spell.
Nice.
All that I want is just to move on. Life's so much better now that we don't speak.
Ooh.
And we felt like strangers in February.
So, aside from that really cool rhyme we just heard, I want to point out something. So normally with rhythms that are easier to calculate are the eighth notes. So dun 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 dun. What he's doing with his vocals right here is he's doing the dotted eighth notes. And what dotted eighth notes are is they're kind of like eighth notes, but they're a little bit off. They're on the offbeat. So it goes dun 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 dun. So you can kind of couple it with eighths. You can go dun 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 dun. And it gives it a bit of like a catchy bounce to whatever your melody is. And that's exactly what he's doing here on this verse.
There will always be parts of me that
Nice.
are yours. And I don't cry 'cause it is over. I just don't feel like I could love her, but I'm over you, but I
Nice. What a unique voice line right there. Nice. Oh, wow. With somebody who is not me. That emphasis on those two syllables really helps that line work. Like it would still work without it, but having that emphasis on the tonality there really helps those two lines just work together.
I just don't feel like I could love again. And I told myself that I'm over you, but I
Such a cool little thing. Oh. Ooh. Get a little ear candy at the end there with the fiddle. Yeah, so I'd say my overall thoughts on this album is, like, if I were to consolidate my overall thoughts on this album, I think it's definitely a step in a different direction for Conan. And what I mean by that is it almost feels like he's taken all of his albums up until this point, or at least what I've heard from those albums, and put them in a different album and provided different context for him. And what I mean by that is we have elements of all of his works that have come before this, but now we're also hearing elements of like this interesting like cinematic folk pop thing, like not just acoustic bedroom pop. It's like bigger than that. It's got more of an atmosphere to it, more of an air to it. It's a very lyric heavy album, but it doesn't fall short on the music standpoint in terms of sonics. Like, hey, I want to provide an album that has more of like it feels like a very personal album. That's really the best way I could describe it. And it's also got elements of that angst. It's got elements of that nostalgia, going back in time and sort of reliving certain feelings through that feeling of nostalgia. It's also got elements of of storytelling, elaborating more on past traumas and heartbreak. And I think it's very tastefully done. And it also, the album also, not just with the last song we heard, but just across the board, kind of has this weird hopeful energy to it. Like it's a very introspective and deep album, which I think isn't necessarily different for Conan's music, but it definitely is a very mature, it's an album with a very mature sense of self, that's for sure. I'd say my overall favorites on this are definitely Vodka Cranberry, definitely Caramel, so the singles. But I also really liked My World. I really liked Sunset Tower, 1111, Care. I mean, even Connell just absolutely stunned me with the way that it was arranged. I mean, this album does have a lot of good shining moments on it. And I really enjoyed sort of taking some time to listen to it before we go to the show. I think that's in like a week or two here. But I'm definitely looking forward to hearing some of these live, because I think the energy that the band is going to provide, as well as just being there and sort of the element of Conan's sort of live setting, is going to just have a totally different vibe, and it's going to make these come to life. So with that being said, thank you guys for your time and thank you for watching. Don't forget, this is just a spontaneous special episode for the middle of the week. We still got what's coming this Friday. We got the Sophie album coming for all of you here on YouTube. We also have the Patreon exclusive No Shape by Perfume Genius. You guys have been wanting that one for a while as well. So both of those videos are coming this Friday to both my patrons on Patreon as well as you guys here on YouTube. Feel free to connect on social media or subscribe if you like what you see. What was I going to say? I was going to say something to end this out. Oh yeah, I guess that was it. Thank you guys again for your time and have a great rest of your day.